Hi, namaste. Welcome back. In this class, we're going to come back to the legs. We're going to use a block between the legs for most of our poses so that we can get that deeper connection within. So I'd like you to have a wall in case you need it, one strap, two blocks, and I have a couple foam pads, so if you want to sit on some other height besides the blocks, then you can do that. But have a block that will go between your legs. All right, let's get started.
Before we get started, if you want to learn the basics of Iyengar Yoga,
I've designed a new course, Foundational Iyengar Yoga. This course is for you if you're a beginner, if you've been practicing for a while and you just want to deepen your understanding, or if you're a teacher and you would like to be more inspired, go back to the basics. So it's a 6-week course, 18 different classes, and you'll be able to go through at your own pace.
you can find more details in the description box below.
Okay, first of all, just make sure you have a wall. So we're not going to use it right now, but have a wall, some space at the wall. Have a couple blocks. Have a little bit of height, either a blanket, a rolled towel, a bolster, and have one strap. Okay, today we're going to connect with the legs, and using the blocks, we'll connect from the feet to the hips and establish that foundation to get that extension. So first of all, take a block. You're going to bring the block between the legs. So bring it as high up as you can. So give you some time to get that block if you don't have it. So here I have the top of the block parallel to the floor. So holding that block, you're going to bring the thighs towards one another. You're going to feel that movement toward the center. If you can take the feet all the way in, then take the feet all the way in. You'll feel that even more. If not, then just have your feet hips width apart. So as you press the front of the foot, the inner heel, draw the outer thighs in, so you can feel that kind of suction right there at the hip socket. So you're beginning to use all the muscles around the outer hips, feeling that connection there. From the hips to the heels, find that connection. From the inner heels to the inner legs, lift up through that block. So now the block is facing forward. I want to roll that block back a bit, but at the same time, I want to move the buttock forward. So they're opposing actions. So there's just a firmness that happens there. It's not an overarching of the back. It's not moving the hips back, thighs back, or moving the buttocks forward. It's both of those actions at the same time, which is going to create that foundation here, that firm foundation. So stand in Tadasana, be aware of that. Inner knees moving back. Stay in the feet, so extend the toes, be on the inner side of the foot a little bit more, so you can feel that from the inner heel, lift up through the inner ankle. And then bring your arms up, Urdhva Hastasana. Bring your hands down again. So without moving, without changing the position of the legs, keep that firmness. Bring your arms up, and then bring the hands down. Bring the arms out to the side, so you're rotating the shoulders, palms facing up. From the center of the sternum, lengthen through the fingertips. So all the metatarsals are firm, lengthening from the center of the middle of the back, lengthening through the hands. Thighs are back, tailbone, middle buttocks forward, outer thighs in. Inhale, lift up. Bring the arms down, out to the side again, rotate the shoulders. Inhale, lift up. And doing that one more time, bring the hands down. Rotate the arms, so the front armpit chest is lifting, the back armpit chest is descending. Reach the arms up. Now this time, interlace the fingers. Turn the palms so that you're pressing the palms out. Connect the thumbs and reach up. So staying with the feet, staying with that connection, that foundation that you have through the feet, through the legs. Lift the pubic bone up, lift up through the front body. Just be there and breathe. Arms down. Change the cross on the fingers. Inhale, lift up. So maintain that clarity in the feet. Inner edges of the feet moving down. Front of the foot descending. Toes lengthening. Inner legs lifting up. Outer thighs moving in. Front thighs moving back. Tailbone, middle buttocks moving forward. Reach the arms back. Opening this armpit chest. Stay there a few more breaths. Take the arms down. Stand in Tadasana. Okay, now you're going to take your block, you're going to take it a little bit wider. So everyone has different blocks. This is a very heavy block. So here, I have to really manage that block so it's not going to slip out. So if I take my legs too wide, it will come out. So I'm going to bring the legs now hips width apart. And with the hands on the hips, elbows back, I'm going to start to roll that block back. So as I roll, as I come forward, inner thighs moving back, coming to Ardha Uttanasana, elbows lifting up a couple times. So as you come up, you find the reverse of the pelvis. So first the pelvis, pubic bone is moving down, tailbone is moving back, and now as you come up, you're lifting up and getting that buttocks to move forward. So let's do that a few times. Inhale, exhale, extend the arms. Looking forward, inhale, holding that block, staying connected to the legs. Exhale, coming forward. Looking forward, inhale, reach up. Okay, now take the hands down and hold on to the block while I come into this. So just adjust your block so you know it's not going to fall. And then bring your hands to the front of the mat. You're going to start to walk your feet back. Keep your feet and your legs in line with the hips. Spread the fingers. Keep the hands placed right in line with your shoulders. Press the hands, lift up through the arms, extend through the side trunk, and move that block back. Move the hips back. Move the front thighs back. As you do that, press the heel down and lift the back of the thigh up toward the lower buttocks. Top of the lower back descending. And then walk forward. Coming forward, fingertips on the floor. I'm going to do that one more time. Bring the hands down. This time walk the hands back, concave the back, lengthen the front ribs forward, and then start to walk the feet back. Take the hands forward a little bit more at that length. Now bring the feet back a little bit further so your heels may not go to the floor. So if they're lifted, that's okay. Getting a little bit more extension from the hands through the side trunk. Move that block back, move the hips back. And now bring the hands toward the feet. Come back into Uttanasana. Just make sure your block is still there. It's not falling, slipping. And now from here, you're going to walk into Adho Mukha Svanasana with your heels on the floor. So keep the heels grounded and walk forward any amount that you can while maintaining that connection from the heel into your mat. Inner heel moving down, outer hips moving back. Stay with your breath. And then walk forward. Walk the feet forward, walk the hands forward. Come into Uttanasana. Release the head. Walk the hands out to the side. Be on the fingertips. Bring the back ribs in, lengthen the front ribs forward, and then bring the hands onto the hips. Inhale, come up. Okay. So now let's take the block back to that narrow version. So from here, we're doing everything here where the hips are moving towards one another. The lower back is spreading. The legs are more like scissors. They're not open like Utthita Trikonasana. So with this position, we're going to attempt to hold the block. Okay, so, you'll take the block again, and you'll bring your hands first to the floor. Keep that firmness of the outer thighs moving towards one another. Even though we're bringing one leg back, still hold on to that block, walk that foot back, and at the same time lengthen forward. So I'm a little bit shorter stride in my Parsvottanasana. It's okay. I want to hold that block. I want to get that imprint of the block. Outer hips moving towards one another. The front hip is moving back. From the back heel, pressing, move that left hip forward and extend forward. And then come forward. Bring the feet together. Uttanasana. Release the head down. Come up. And then other side. So carefully walk back, still holding that block. If you go too wide, the block will fall out. So feel that connection of the outer legs moving towards one another. From there, move the hips back, roll the block back, and lengthen forward. Stay in the front of the foot, the outer heel, inner heel. Back ribs moving in, lengthen forward. And then come forward. Uttanasana. First, Urdhva Mukha action. Back ribs moving in, concave the back, release the head down. Be on the fingertips. Now move that block back. So inner thighs are rolling back. Outer thighs are moving towards one another, toward the center. Release the head. And then come up. You can hold the block if it's about ready to slip. Urdhva Hastasana, and then Tadasana. Standing in Tadasana, I've taken the block out now. So in Parivrtta Trikonasana, because I have these wider blocks, I'm not going to be able to hold it between the legs. If you can manage to hold it between your legs, then you can do that. So bringing the front foot, left foot back, press the heel, and then begin to come forward like you did in Parsvottanasana. This time, the toes in Parsvottanasana are facing forward. So just come into Parsvottanasana, either the hands on the floor or you have the blocks there. Lift up, and then come up onto the toes. Turn that back foot a little bit. Gives you a little bit more space to turn. And then let's take the hand on the block. So reach the hand around, press the hand into the block, then bring your top hand on your hip, move that hip back as you press into the back heel, and as if you're still holding that block. So the inner thighs, you can feel moving towards one another. Outer hips are moving towards one another like you're still holding onto that block. As you do that, stay connected with the back heel, front foot, turn, and then bring your arm up. Lift up. From that bottom hand, lift and turn. Stay with the breath. And then come down. Come forward again. Uttanasana. Step back. Parivrtta Trikonasana. First, Parsvottanasana. Toes are moving forward. Hips are moving back, squeezing that block, the imaginary block now. And then come onto the toes, turn that back heel a little bit more so you get a little more space through that back pelvis. Have the block on the outer side of the foot. Press the heel. Stay grounded in the back leg. Bring the hand onto the block. So you're going to feel, if you feel a little jammed up, bring that back leg back a little bit more. So find the distance that you need. Everyone's a little bit different. Press your hand down, straighten the arm. Now press back into that back heel, inner heel, outer hips moving towards one another. And as you do that, start to turn. Turn the back. Look straight ahead, forward. Keep your gaze relaxed, soft. And just keep your eyes there. Don't look up. Just reach up with the arm. Stay with the soft gaze. Outer hips moving towards one another. Soft breath. And then coming down. Coming back into Parvottanasana. I don't think we did this on the other side, but you can just bring your hands down. Turn the back foot. Bend the elbows. Release the head. If the back starts to round or you feel tightness there, stay up onto the fingers. But keep that attention in the outer hips, moving towards one another as if you still had that block. And then come forward. Take your hands to the side, release the head. Press the fingertips down, move the front thighs back, and let the back ribs move down. Front ribs move down. Back of the head descending. As if you still had that block now. Holding that block, that imaginary block, roll the thighs back. Keeping that block in place by moving the outer thighs towards one another. Look up. Fingertips on the floor. Slide the hands forward, Urdhva Hastasana. Reach the arms. Inhale, lift up. And then bring the hands down. Just stand in Tadasana. Recover your breath in Tadasana. Soft eyes, looking forward without reaching the eyes forward. So I'm in the same direction as before. I'm spreading the legs, coming into Prasarita Padottanasana. We're going to do a combination here of a couple of poses. Prasarita Padottanasana, elbows lifting up, inner thighs moving back. Still that firmness from the outer hip joints, outer thighs, as if you're still holding that block. Obviously, we can't hold a block here, but you can be on the inner and outer edges of the feet. Move the outer thighs towards one another. And from there, I want you to extend forward. You have blocks. If you want to bring your hands onto the blocks, you can. So here, we're not moving back beyond the mat and beyond the heels, but we keep the hips in line with the heels. And from there, walk the hands forward. So this opposing action of the thighs moving back, giving you that mobility to move forward as you keep the thighs in place. Extend. Abdomen moving toward the lower back, navel moving in and up. And then bring your hands a little bit further forward. We're going to come into more of a plank pose, so be on the toes. Press the hands down, lift the shoulders up. Coming back, we'll do that a few times. So finding the distance that you need, moving the hands further forward. Come onto the outer edges of the toes. Bring the shoulders over the heels of the hands. And now come down into Chaturanga if you can. Lift up. Coming back. If that wasn't possible and you want to go into that direction, be on the toes, bring the knees down, bend the elbows, come down, come back up. Pressing back. And then one last time into that chaturanga action, either the knees on the floor or the thighs lifted. Tailbone in, middle buttocks in. Lift the thighs. Come back up, plank. Adho Mukha Svanasa with Prasarita Padottanasana. And then walk your hands back. Lengthen forward. Bring your hands onto your hips. Inhale, come up. Now you're going to take your hands behind you to Paschimottanasana Namaskar. Legs are wide, inner thighs are lifting, outer thighs are moving as if you're holding a block. Now lift the chest, back ribs in, front chest lifting, sternum lifting. So the diaphragm is moving up away from the abdomen, and then exhale, come forward. So feeling that back body, spine moving in, so you're absorbing that central channel toward the center, inward instead of outward. Lengthening, elbows moving back from the tops of the shoulders, lengthen the sides of the upper shoulder through to the elbows, and then come down any amount you can. Press the hands, lift the elbows up, stay with your breath. So conserve the breath. In our practice, we learn how to conserve the breath, conserve the energy, so that we're not over-breathing, not using our energy in that way. Inhale, come up. You're going to bring your feet in, release your hands, and come to Tadasana. Keeping that from going from that wide leg stance to now that outer legs moving in, so more closed. From here, we're going to, you can have a block in case you need it. I'm going to stand here. This is a double mat, so that's not as stable. Come into Garudasana. You can have the wall next to you. You can have your back at the wall, or you can be away from the wall. If you need a block for that foot, then you can take the block. So I'm going to take the leg behind or in front and hook it at the top of the thigh, bend the knee, and then I'm going to pin that other foot back and adjust my pelvis. Lift up. Elbows moving towards one another, chest lifting. Drop the hips. Just do the legs for now. Coming into that compact action, like you were still holding a block. And then come up. All right, you can use your hands at the wall. Lift the leg high, bend the knees, take the toe around, and either have it on the block or take it behind that ankle. Just bring your hands onto your hips. You have the wall there if you need that stability. So here you're bringing the outer legs in. You're keeping that firmness, that closed action that we had when we were holding onto the block. Stay with your breath. Keep your gaze relaxed. So if you come out, just stand back in Tadasana. It happens. Balancing poses help us to see what's happening with us, what's happening with the mind. Doesn't mean anything in particular if you've come out. Just means that maybe your focus, maybe you were distracted. All right, now we're going to sit down and practice Bharavajasana. So since we're close to the wall and we have a block here, let's just take the block, bring your knees forward. So your knees are toward the wall, your feet are away from the wall, and you adjust your block. So I'm going to use this other block. You have that block handy. And bring it between the knees. So still, I want to keep that movement of moving the legs towards one another. Okay, this foot is over the arch of the bottom foot. moving the hips down, hug the block, and then bring the hands to the wall. So have the hands wide, shoulders wide, and as you press the hands into the wall, descend this hip. So the hip that's furthest away from the wall, descend that down. Inhale, lift, exhale, turn. Back widening, broadening. With your exhalation, turn. So you're looking at the wall, so just keep the eyes relaxed. Soft, gaze is soft. Staying with your breath. Release. We'll come to the other side. So turning around. Take the block. Knees forward. Feet away from the wall. Top foot is over the arch of the bottom foot. And then have your block. So you want to have the thighs parallel, but you also want to have that knee and thighs moving downward. So here with the block, you can feel that connection of the legs coming towards one another. Just adjust the buttocks in case you feel that this buttock is tucking under and this hip is lifting. So arrange the buttock so it's spreading to the capacity. All right, and then as you keep the foundation stable, pressing the block, moving the thighs down, pressing the top foot into the bottom foot, turning toward the wall. Inhale, lift, exhale, turn. Use the fingertips. So the fingertips are a lot more sensitive than the whole hand. So be on the fingertips, use the fingertips to give you that momentum and the energy to direct the turning. Navel moving in and up. Hold that block. Exhale, turn. And release. Okay, now we're going to use the wall again, and we're going to use the block. All right, so first we'll just come into Supta Tadasana. You can have the feet at the wall. And I want you to bring your block between your legs. So once you do that, adjust your pelvis. Your lower back is descending. Bring your feet to the wall. So have that connection from the feet to the hips. And that block is going to be facing up toward the ceiling. So again, you're holding onto that block, squeezing the block, connecting the feet back into the pelvis, outer thighs connecting into the pelvis, and then bring your arms over. Hook your thumbs. And as you press, feel that contact of the feet at the wall. Inner heel lifting up through the inner leg. Outer hip to the outer heel. Bring the awareness to the outer thigh. So you feel that the thighs are sucking in, especially right there at that hip socket where you can feel that indentation. You can take your hands down, feel that indentation. You can feel it in your standing pose on balancing. That's moving in, and then bring the arms over, extend from the sides of the waist. So the back waist corner is lengthening. At the same time, the shoulders are moving down, shoulder blades are moving down. So getting that length through the arms, extend the fingers. Now press the mounds of the feet into the wall, draw the toes back. And as you do that, move the thighs toward the floor. And because the hips are on the floor, they can't move beyond the floor, so you move the buttocks toward the front abdomen, toward the front groin, as you absorb the tailbone into the body and lengthen it toward the heels. And then release the arms. All right, So now bend your knees, hold that block, bring your arms over your head again. So you want to get that same extension that you had when you were pressing your feet into the wall, moving your hips toward the wall, but at the same time moving the waist corners and lengthening the side trunk. Right up through the outer arm, that outer armpit chest, shoulder blades moving down, hooking the thumbs, reach the fingers. Firm the hands, the metatarsals, reach the fingers away from your head. Keeping that, bring your feet off the floor, knees in, and then stretch the legs up. So here you can bring your feet apart. So I've got that block on the most narrow, and as I bring my legs up, get the feet to be parallel to one another, extend up through your heels, lengthen the calves up, hold that block, squeezing that block. At the same time, as you exhale, move the navel toward the lower back and up toward the chest. If you need to bring the legs down, you can bend the knees and bring the feet down. Otherwise, we'll stay another few breaths, say another 3 or 4 breaths. Holding that block, press up through the mounds. Keep the hips on the floor. So I'm not lifting the hips up. I keep the buttocks down so the legs are connected from the feet to the hips. Bend the knees, bring the feet onto the floor. Now you're going to change the cross on your fingers. So as our arms are extending, you could also do this at the wall where you're pressing your hands into the wall. So with that, you're getting this length here so that the lower back is lengthening and the abdomen is not moving up toward the ceiling. So the abdomen is grounded, moving down, not just from the center, but from the left to the right. So the corners, the walls of the abdomen are descending as well as in the center. Okay, so changing the cross on the fingers, establishing that length, hips moving away, knees off the feet off the floor, knees bent, reach the legs up. Keep the hips grounded, front thighs moving away. Remember when you were rolling that block away toward the wall earlier in Uttanasana? So you're still holding the block, rolling it away. So it depends on your knees. So some people need to roll more than others. If my knee is moving out like this, I need to roll a little bit more. When I'm going forward in a forward bend, it needs to roll even more. So you want to have the knees facing forward, the front of the thigh with the knee and the shin bone. All right, and then bring the feet down, rest the arms, bring the arms out to the side, and roll the arms, roll the tops of the shoulders down, shoulder blades down. This time we're going to bring the arms up again, interlace the fingers, extend the arms away, bring the legs up, and we're just going to, as we hold that block, bring the legs just up and down a little bit, aware of your abdominal wall moving down. It's coming from 90 to 60 to 75. If the abdomen is lifting up, or if you have any pain in the lower back, just come back up to 90 and stay with 90. If you've been practicing a while and you have that ability, that sensitivity through the abdominal area, then bringing the legs up and down, holding the block. And then bend the knees, release, bring the feet onto the floor, release the block, and roll onto your right side, come up, and then you're going to sit. Sit in Dandasana. So from Dandasana, come forward, Urdhva Hastasana. Take your hands on your toes, back ribs in, lift up. Bring your arms up. And now take your block. So you're going to bring your block between your legs, holding that block. You have to bend the knees a little bit. See if you can take hold of the toes. Bring the heels in a bit. Ubhaya Padangusthasana. So here you're going to balance. So I'm pressing off the heels. See if I can come to that spot where I can balance. Press the block. Lift the legs up. Pull the fingers around the toes. And lift the chest. So holding that block, extending the legs. Back ribs in, front chest lifting. And then bend the knees, bring the legs down. Sit in Dandasana, holding onto that block. Take the block now, lengthwise. Rotate the thigh, knees facing up toward the ceiling. Bring your fingertips back behind you. Where you were in Ubhaya Padangusthasana, bring the back ribs in. Lift the front armpit chest, descend the back armpit chest. Toes facing up toward the ceiling. Bring your left arm up, take your right hand back. Coming into a twist, hand on the outer leg. Inhale, lift. Exhale, turn. If your lower back is sinking, then you can sit up on a block. If you sit up on a block, have something behind you so that you can use this back hand to keep that lift. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, turn. Coming back to the center. Reach the arms up. Move the thighs down. Keep holding that block. Turn. Turn to do the other side. Hand onto the outer leg. Inhale, lengthen up. Exhale, turn. Keep your eyes level and keep them steady, relaxed as you turn. And release. Okay, now you're going to sit on your block. Have the block so that the inner thighs are holding that block. Bring your other foot back. So you're on the full foot, front of the foot, the back of the foot, and now I'm gripping with that block. This foot is in line with the hip. Reach the arm up, coming into Marichyasana. Bring your right arm up, turn. Bring your hand down. Press the elbow, press the upper arm, and you can feel that block there. Move the block in. Take the other hand back, have it on your hip. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, turn. So feeling that block where the inner thighs are moving towards one another, you can feel the lower back broadening and widening, as if your hip bones were moving towards one another. Lower waist corners lifting up, chest lifting, exhale, turn. Turn and look over your back shoulder. Release. Bring that leg back into Dandasana. Arranging the block so that it's really close to the pelvis, so those inner thighs will feel that movement inward toward the median line. So the median line is the center line of the body. Moving the outer hips in. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, turn. Bring your arm down. You can take a couple of attempts to bring the arm closer in so this whole chest and the abdomen is touching that leg, if that's appropriate for you. So we're exhale, bring the hand around, press the elbow, press the upper arm, lift up while you hold that block. Exhale, turn. Use the hand against the hip, against that back to rotate that front shoulder and turn. And then look over the front shoulder. Exhale, release. Come into forward virasana. Knees wide, toes together. Bring your head onto that block. With your hands lengthening, draw the hips back. Extend the side trunk forward, reach the arms forward without moving the hips away from the heels. So you want to extend the arms as much as you can forward, but not at the expense of moving the hips. So you want to have that control on the hips moving back as you extend the side trunk. Still broadening the lower back like we did earlier in the twisting, so that you feel the hip bones moving towards one another as the lower back spreads. You create some space there. And then come up. Come onto your hips. You're going to take the block now. You have two of your blocks. Come up and take the block on the lower, not on the lowest height, but on the middle height. So this would be the highest. I want you to take it on the middle height and take it horizontal to the hips and bring that across the hip bones. Thighs are parallel to one another. Take your arms, extend from the shoulder down through the fingertips. So you make some space here in the neck, between the neck and the tops of the shoulders. Arms rolling, inner arms lifting. Feel that lower back on the block. So just making sure you position it where it's right at the hip bones and the tailbone. So find that most comfortable spot. It's not on your lower back up. It's right across the pelvis, right across, just below the sacrum. And now take the block and hold the block. Come into Viparita Karani. Well, you can do this at the wall also. Here the chest is lifted. It's a version of shoulder stand. Turning the shoulders under, extend the arms, reach the legs up. So here the pelvis is level. You can feel how that pelvis is level. And as you lift the legs, holding the blocks, let the abdomen release down. So again, come back to the breath, release the abdomen down. Feeling the movement of the breath in the chest, in the abdominal area. Take a few deeper breaths. Lengthening your inhalation and lengthening your exhalation. You're right on the center of the back of the head, and both sides of the neck are elongating equally. So the head's not tilted to one side or the other. Shoulders are balanced, the left and the right side. All right, you bring your legs down now. We're going to come into Chaturpadasana with the block, just lifting the hip off the block, just as a final connection from the feet to the knees to the hips. Roll the shoulders under and lift the block away. or lift the hips away, middle buttocks in, tailbone in. We'll come back to that position, okay? From here, you'll take the block away, and then you'll lift up, take that block away, and tilt the pelvis so that the lower back is lengthening. You can feel the lower back on the floor. Walls of the abdomen descending. And then preparing for Shavasana, you're going to extend the legs out. So from here, I'm going to have you have the block between the legs, just as a guide, so you can feel that you haven't just thrown the legs down and thrown the legs out to the side. So looking down, you have that block, observe the legs, the feet, and then just allow the legs to roll out to the side. Okay? So you can feel the inner thigh rolling out. And then bring your other block onto your abdomen. Extend your arms out, adjust your shoulders, your shoulder blades. Create that extension, that length in the neck that you had earlier. And then just allow yourself to be there. After you've made all the adjustments, the left side, the right side. Bring your attention back to your breath. Feeling the rise of the fall of the block. Keep the energy of the breath relaxed. But at the same time, fully exhaling. I'm going to leave you here in Shavasana. I'll put a timer on so you'll know. It'll be about 5 minutes. You can stay in Shavasana. We've already been here a minute. So another 4 minutes. Just allow yourself to stay. Allow the body to integrate the movements. Integrate the flow of the blood, the oxygen, moving into each cell. So stay as long as you like. Namaste. Thank you for joining me. All right, we did a number of types of poses, from standing poses to forward bending to working with the abdomen. So in all of these, you could see there's need for that connection of the legs and coming back to the median line of the body. Until next time, namaste.